At the tail end of the Irish Civil War in 1923, on the fictional Irish Isle of Inisherin, folk musician Colm Doherty abruptly begins ignoring his lifelong friend and drinking buddy, Pádraic Suilleoin. Pádraic, though nice and well-liked by the islanders, is too dull for Colm, who wishes to spend the remaining of his life composing music. Pádraic's life is destabilized by the loss of one of his few friends. As Pádraic grows increasingly distressed at the rejection, Colm becomes more resistant to his old friend's attempts to speak to him. Colm eventually gives Pádraic an ultimatum. Every time Pádraic bothers him or tries to talk with him, Colm will cut off one of his own left fingers with a pair of sheep shears. The local Garda Pater beats his troubled son Dominic severely, and Pádraic and his sister Siobhan take Dominic in for a short time. While delivering milk to the market, Pater insults Pádraic, who retaliates by making public the fact that he beats his son. And Pater knocks him to the ground. Having witnessed this, Colm puts Pádraic back in his wagon, and drives him home. Though Siobhan and Dominic attempt to defuse the pair's escalating battle, but their efforts prove fruitless. Pádraic drunkenly confronts Colm in the pub over his lack of niceness, also confronting Pater over the fact that he molests Dominic. Colm remarks that this is the most interesting Pádraic has been, and mutters, "I think I like him again now." The next morning, not remembering what he has said, Pádraic attempts to apologize to Colm, but the conversation goes badly, and Colm responds by cutting off his left index finger, and throwing it at Pádraic's door. After Pádraic sees Colm meeting with a fiddler from the mainland, Pádraic tricks the fiddler into returning home, by lying about his father being hit by a bread van. As the tensions worsen, local elder Mrs. McCormick warns Pádraic that death will come to the island soon. Meanwhile, Siobhan gently rejects Dominic's romantic advances. Pádraic tells Dominic about what he did to the fiddler, and Dominic says that Pádraic is no longer nice. Pádraic becomes convinced that this will make him interesting enough for Colm, and he visits Colm to reprimand him for behaving so badly. Colm reveals that he has finished composing his song, which he calls the Banshees of Inisherin. The two appear to be on the point of reconciling, when before leaving for the pub, Pádraic mentions that he lied to the fiddler to get him off the island. Instead of meeting Pádraic at the pub, Colm cuts off all 4 of his remaining left fingers, and throws them at Pádraic's door. Sick of life on the island, Siobhan moves to the mainland for a job in a library. Pádraic comes home to find his pet donkey Jenny has choked on one of Colm's fingers and died. He confronts Colm and warns him he will burn his house down the next day at 2 p.m., regardless of whether Colm is in it. The next day, Pádraic sets fire to Colm's house as promised, but not before taking Colm's dog Sammy, who is outside the house. Pádraic looks in a window, and sees Colm calmly sitting inside the burning building. Pater goes to Pádraic's house, planning to beat him, but is diverted away by Mrs. McCormick, who leads him to Dominic's corpse floating in the nearby lake. The next morning, Pádraic with Sammy finds Colm standing on the beach beside his burnt house. Colm apologizes for the donkey's death, and suggests destroying the house has ended their feud, but Pádraic informs him that it only would have ended if he had stayed inside the house. When Colm wonders if the Civil War has ended, Pádraic replies that he believes it may be a good thing that there are some things that cannot be moved on from. As Pádraic turns to leave, Colm thanks him for looking after Sammy. "Anytime," Pádraic responds. Unbeknownst to them, Mrs. McCormick is watching them from a distance by Colm's burned cottage.